Welcome to SAT TV News. I'm Alicia George, your presenter. In our top stories, government signs for $2.54 million Salisbury water supply project. Elderly woman mauled to death by 3 pit bulls. Quarter jills US peer over daughter's organ harvesting death. And in sports, West Indies celebrates second consecutive victory. Details of these will follow.
The wheel of change is here at SAT. New and exciting rewards just for you. SAT customers, simply pay your bill and get the new Loyalty Plus plan for free. That's 26 channels absolutely free for a limited period. Yes, you heard me, free. And if you do pay your bill, you'll have a chance to win big with SAT TV. Up to $15,000 in prizes are up for grabs. 7-inch tablets, BlackBerry smartphones, food vouchers, and much, much more. Get more from SAT TV, the people's choice. SAT terms and conditions apply.
Can you afford to lose everything? In times of uncertainty, ensure you have the security of Quartz Payment Protection. When you shop with Quartz Ready Finance Gold or Ultimate Plan, if you lose your job after 6 months of making payments, our redundancy coverage ensures that the payment on your account continues for up to 12 months. Don't risk losing everything. Shop with Quartz Ready Finance and get the payment protection plan that protects you against redundancy, disability, death, and loss of item due to natural disaster, fire, flood, or theft. Quartz Ready Finance with payment protection. Quartz, bringing value home.
Welcome back. Dominica is one of 2 Caribbean countries in arrears for payments due to the United Nations and has therefore lost the right to vote at the General Assembly made effective on February 24, 2014. Dominica is in arrears of US $19,734, according to a letter from UN General Secretary Ban Ki-moon. Leader of the opposition United Workers' Party, Mr. Lennox Linton, says this is due to the delinquency of the government.
We are the United Nations. Our presence in the United Nations is about our commitment to responsible citizenship in global affairs. And we are in a situation, we've done it before, we're doing it again, where we place ourselves in a situation where arrears of payment are preventing us from exercising our voting responsibility at the UN.
Based on reports, this is the second time Dominica has lost its right to vote at the UN due to unpaid dues. Grenada is the other Caribbean country that lost its right to vote at the Assembly. In more news, in an exclusive interview with SAT TV, press attaché in the office of the Prime Minister, Mr. Darrell Tit, says the relationship Dominica has with China is an everlasting one. March 23, 2014 marked the 10-year anniversary of diplomatic relations between the 2 countries.
China and Dominica established diplomatic relations in March 2004, and that's shortly after Prime Minister Skerritt assumed the office of Prime Minister following the untimely death of Mr. Pierre Charles. Since then, we have had a very meaningful and fruitful partnership. Dominica has benefited a lot from our recognition of the One China policy. Now, the One China policy states that there is only one China. There are not 2 Chinas. There's no Republic of China on Taiwan. There's one China, and Taiwan is an inseparable part of the Chinese mainland.
Mr. Tit noted since relations were established, 103 students have received scholarships to pursue studies across China in various fields. In addition, nearly 900 persons have gone on training in China from both the public and private sectors.
The amount of capital projects that Dominica has been able to produce with funding from China, whether it's through grants or soft loan, has been tremendous. We're talking of things like the Windsor Park Sports Stadium, the West Coast Road, the new Dominica Grammar School. We're also looking at the State House, the Dominica State College, apartment buildings in Emsall and Bath Estate. We're also looking at village roads and that sort of thing. We are looking at areas of technical cooperation. We are looking at areas of direct budgetary support. So the relationship between Dominica and China has been a very, very fruitful one. China and Dominica maintain a mutual friendship, an equal friendship, China does not interfere in our local activities. China does not interfere in our local business, and in turn, we do not interfere in China's local affairs.
Mr. Tate is of the view that China has played its part to ensure that Dominica moves to the next level.
We continue to benefit. Just recently, China handed over to Dominica some 50 million renminbi. Renminbi is the Chinese currency, and that's about 8.2 million US dollars for a project to be determined. We have also seen that His Excellency the President has moved into the State House, the new State House, a model of national pride. That was made possible through very soft loans from the government of the People's Republic of China. We also saw the Dominica Grammar School, quite a number of students. I am a former student of the grammar school. I think yourself, Larry, is a former student of the grammar school. And remember what it was going to the old school building where trees were growing out from the roof, missing louvers and all this kind of thing. And the children now have a state-of-the-art high school, which they can attend a more conducive environment to learning.
In other stories, the Ministry of Trade and Foreign Affairs of New Zealand, in partnership with the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, have commenced a 2-day workshop focused on understanding the potential for geothermal energy. The workshop, hosted at the Fortune Hotel in Roseau, concentrated on ways to unlock geothermal potential in Dominica through its theme, Driving Geothermal Development, How to Realize Resource Potential.
Over the next few years, we will have the 2-day workshop where we will have a combination of various lectures, panel discussion, and of course, various field trips, so you can appreciate the work that have taken place on the ground. It is indeed for us an excellent privilege to be able to share with you the trials, the opportunities, and the gains we have made through our own geothermal pursuit over the last few years.
The workshop will cover a combination of the strategic design and development of geothermal resources, strengthened with input on the key scientific and engineering aspects that must be addressed before and during development, and ongoing resource management throughout plant operations to maximize the benefits of any geothermal installation. According to Mr. Bentley Brown, Acting Director General for the OECS Commission, as long as Dominica remains on track, they will add to the already exemplary work being conducted.
If you lead, you have to support. So as far as I know, as long as Dominica will proceed on its path of success, we will look to Dominica for support for the other countries.
With over 60 years of experience, geothermal energy has been described as New Zealand's most reliable renewable energy source above wind, solar, and even hydroelectricity due to its lack of dependence on the weather.
In New Zealand, almost 80% of our electricity generation comes from renewables. That is an astonishing statistic. Almost 80% from renewable energy sources. New Zealand was one of the first countries to develop its geothermal resources, and that was some 60 years ago. So that experience, our journey to develop cutting-edge geothermal technology, research and practical on-the-ground application is why we are here today.
She is New Zealand's first High Commissioner to Dominica. According to Her Excellency, this workshop presents a tangible opportunity for New Zealand to share its knowledge and to develop the kind of linkages that will develop the industry. In more news, Parliamentary Representative for the Roseau Central Constituency, Honourable Norris Prevost, was denied entry during the official launch of an ongoing geothermal workshop at the Fortune Hotel. The workshop builds on a geothermal project undertaken by the government of Dominica in a bid to reduce electricity costs on the island.
Police officers came into the meeting where I was sitting, and a police officer told me that he was instructed to ask me to leave the meeting. I was sitting very orderly in my chair taking my notes. I asked him, well, upon whose instructions? I was told that the instructions came from the Minister of National Security to the Chief of Police, and he was instructed. He was accompanied by several other officers.
Mr. Prevost says as the parliamentary representative for the Roseau Central constituency, he has a duty to represent his constituents and to be informed on this very important geothermal initiative by the government. He noted he being escorted out of the workshop is a clear attempt by the government to keep the opposition from fully informing themselves about the geothermal project.
The government has been moving in a very reckless way towards developing a geothermal project in the Roseau Valley with very little regard to the concerns of the people of the Roseau Valley and with insufficient regard to the negative impacts that the way they are going about things can have on our tourism development in the Roseau Valley and on the safety and the security of the people in the entire impact area, because the project the government is trying to develop at this moment, the impact area is not just the Roseau Valley, but it's the entire Roseau city and its environs. And there are serious implications for all of us. We want to make sure that whatever we are doing in terms of geo-development is done right, putting the safety of the people of the Roseau Valley, of the city of Roseau first, and also looking at the best ways of going forward. And therefore, I felt it was important now that you have experts from New Zealand, they're discussing geothermal and sharing with the Caribbean methods and approaches to the development of geothermal energy, that the opposition in Parliament should be part of the Dominica team attending this forum.
According to him, he wrote to the government in advance requesting permission for the opposition to attend the meeting, but his letter did not receive a response. SAR-TV will provide an update in our newscast tomorrow evening. In other stories, the government of Dominica has allocated an estimated $2.54 million for the completion of the Dowasco Grand Savan Salisbury water supply project. This was announced during a brief ceremony at the Ministry of Finance conference room on Wednesday, March 26, 2014. The ceremony signaled the commencement of work on the Grand Savan water system that is expected to support near 500 households.
We're making this money at a time when I said resources are difficult to come by. But because of our commitment to the advancement of the country, because of our commitment to ensuring that we continue to assist in transforming the way of life for our people, we go out there and negotiate for the resources required to help build this country.
According to the Prime Minister, over the past 52 months, the Dominica Labour Party government has been erecting a platform with all the features of taking Dominica to the next level.
We have established policy instruments aimed at upholding the dignity of our elderly and neglected citizens. Is the plight of those who, for some time, were known as squatters on government lands. Provided assistance and support to single mothers and ensured that no child was denied an opportunity to access an education that would prepare him or her to be successful in life.
These programs, he said, are fully consistent with the philosophy of government to eradicate inequality and to create a society of equal opportunity for all.
It's important for you, the media, and you Dominicans to drive to these places, to see where we have to fetch the water, the access roads that we have to construct to bring the water to your homes. And Dowasco is making an extraordinary effort in accessing the water where they are to bring to our homes. And major roads have to be constructed. We spent hundreds and millions of dollars, on access to the water source.
Additionally, water projects are currently being conducted in Penville, Petit Savan, Grand Forks, and Benz, among other communities. In more news, Dr. Thompson Fontaine has struck back, filing a lawsuit against Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Attorney-at-Law Lennox Lawrence, and Senior Counsel Anthony Astapans, as well as Carry FM Radio and its owner Mr. Frankie Crazy T. Bellot and Mr. Simeon Albert.
Over the past several months, I've been the subject of an unrelenting attack by both the Prime Minister and his surrogates, including Lennox Lawrence, Anthony Astaphan, Simeon Albert, Crazy T. Bellot of ANQ and Kyrie FM radio stations. And these attacks have been meant to impugn my character. They have been defamatory. A lot of the allegations, the lies that they've made up about me with the sole intent of defaming me in the eyes of the public. I think it's important to put an end to this, and I think that the only way that this can be done is by seeking redress in the courts, and that's what we are proceeding to do.
This action comes following Dr. Fontaine being the subject of intense criticism by some members of the Dominica Labour Party and its supporters after it was revealed that he had transferred US $27,000 from the Dominica Academy of Arts and Sciences DAS accounts to his personal account, an allegation which had been clarified by then-president of DAS, Dr. Clayton Shillingford. The DLP members also alleged that Dr. Fontaine is involved in the transfer of lands belonging to DAS.
This has never been an issue. I am the DAS treasurer. I was a DAS treasurer in 2000, from 2001 to 2009, when the events that has been well aired occurred. I took 2 years off. I came back in 2011, and I'm still the DAS treasurer. It has never been an issue with the board or the membership of DAS, but for cheap political reasons, this government has taken this thing and blown it out of proportion. I never misappropriated DAS funds. It is false. There was always correct and proper accounting. I never took DAS land. This is completely false. And that's why I'm taking this action at this time, because it was made to appear as if I was guilty of something and I'm not. And the Dominican public need to know that I'm not guilty of any of the charges that have been leveled against me by this gentleman. And that's the reason why we're taking this measure, and they will have to pay for it in court.
Dr. Fontaine noted the action is to ask the courts to intervene for monetary damages, as well as an order from the court that these allegations cease.
We're in the process of making sure that these gentlemen that I mentioned, as well as Kyrie FM radio station, they are served with letters, and we'll take it further with actually lodging a complaint in the courts against them.
He added it is a shame that the government would stoop so low when they should welcome a man of his expertise. He is being represented by Joshua Francis and Gilton Richards. In other stories, during a ceremony celebrating the International Day of Women, Miss Dominica 2013 Les Lassa Amor Shillingford spoke on the advancement of women through pageantry and the ways governments can assist to develop the initiative.
Clearly, the experience of being in a pageant allowed me to develop as a whole person. Today, pageants focus on intelligence, volunteerism, and fitness, as much or even more in some cases than the beauty and elegance aspects.
Following her participation at the 2013 Miss Dominica pageant, she founded the Dominica Realistic Education Arts Movement, DREAM, as part of her platform. She spoke of her stride through pageantry to eliminate the superficial meaning of beauty.
The image created that surrounds the media and entertainment industry of the ideal woman today sadly is a woman who is artificially enhanced through surgery or pills, or someone who is too skinny, plainly put. I've chosen to represent the nature aisle in many aspects, showcasing my natural hair and a body that is not surgically enhanced, joining the women promoting healthy and natural living. This health-conscious movement has been able to puncture the bubble of fake that consumes the media, and slowly but surely you do see this small intervention growing.
She applauded the government of Dominica for pursuing education through a full scholarship for the Miss Dominica successor, noting that this highlights perfectly the government's stance on educating its citizens. She says, however, more support could be provided by government in respect to the expenses of the criteria expected to be met.
For the year as Miss Dominica, I was expected, like most other successful past queens, to make numerous appearances and to be immaculately groomed, detail-oriented, talented, intelligent, confident, the picture of health, dedicated, and elegant. Yet no budget was put aside for the purchasing of outfits, the much-needed makeup, the transportation to events, the gym membership, and the list goes on.
She therefore called on the relevant authorities to extend the pageant staff to include a makeup and hairstylist and training for off-island pageants. In other stories, SAT Telecommunications is rewarding its loyal customers with a pay and win promotion, where customers can win a share of $15,000 worth of prizes. The promotion will take place at the SAT office on 20 Bath Road in Roseau at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Friday, March 28, 2014. 5 customers have been selected at random from our database: Roma Melinda Florent from Tranto Casabruce, Danny Fergus from Bath Estates, Felicia Antoine from Loubier, Rosetta Tavernier from Scott's Head, and Francis Edwards from La Plaine. During the event hosted by Mr. Val Youngbo Covey, they will participate in a draw where they will pick their winning prize numbers. This is the first of 3 draws that will take place between now and June. In order to qualify, all you have to do is pay your bills, and you too can be a winner. And in court news, a 22-year-old male of Stock Farm who was arrested during a visit to the office of the Prime Minister on 26 March 2014 has been fined $1,500. Darren Charles was on Thursday charged with possession of cannabis and possession with intent to supply 104 grams of the illegal drug. According to the facts, about 11:10 a.m., Charles approached a police officer on duty at the Prime Minister's office and stated that he was there for a visit. He was told that it was a requirement that all visitors subject themselves to a search, to which he consented. A backpack which Charles had in his possession revealed a clear plastic bag with what appeared to be cannabis. He was then arrested and taken to the police headquarters. In mitigation, Charles's attorney, Sordis Cyrus, begged the Chief Magistrate Candia Dodge to consider a reprimand and discharge since her client was a final year student at the Dominica State College. However, the magistrate scolded the defendant, stating that had he been caught with a spliff of a quantity less than 15 grams, she would have considered his attorney's request. The $1,500 fine for possession with intent to supply is payable by 30th June 2014, or in default, Charles faces 3 months in prison. There was no separate penalty for possession of cannabis. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.
The wheel of change is here at SAT. New and exciting rewards just for you. SAT customers, simply pay your bill and get the new Loyalty Plus plan for free. That's 26 channels absolutely free for a limited period. Yes, you heard me, free. And if you do pay your bill, you'll have a chance to win big with SAT TV. Up to $15,000 in prizes are up for grabs. 7-inch tablets, BlackBerry smartphones, food vouchers, and much, much more. Get more from SAT TV, the people's choice. SAT terms and conditions apply.
Introducing the Ashley Collection at Quartz. Quartz has joined with Ashley Furniture, the #1 selling home furnishings brand in America, to bring you the most extraordinary furniture selection at unbeatable prices. It's now easier than ever before to find that perfect furniture piece for your home. And what's more, you can add that special touch with the right accent piece from our range of designer accessories from Ashley. Create the perfect look for your home with the Ashley Collection at Quartz. Quartz, bringing value home. Visit the new Ashley Gallery at our Roseau store.
In our top regional stories, Trinidad police have shot and killed 3 pit bulls after the dogs mauled an 83-year-old woman to death who had gone into the yard of her home to check her mailbox. Police said that Sylvia Roberts was killed by the 3 pit bulls that belonged to her 43-year-old son, who was at work. The attack is likely to intensify debate for the government to ensure the proclamation of the Dog Control Amendment Act that has been passed in both houses of Parliament. In more regional news, the Barbados government will seek to amend the Offences Against the Persons Act next month, as it seeks to remove the mandatory death penalty imposed on people convicted of murder. Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite said that he was aware that it would be a battle to remove the mandatory death penalty, but stressed that the entire country will be engaged in dialogue on the issue as government prepares to take legislation before Parliament. And on the international scene, a court in Qatar has sentenced an American couple to 3 years in prison over the death of their 8-year-old adopted daughter. The judge did not specify the exact charges of which they were convicted, but prosecutors had accused Matthew and Grace Huang of fatally starving their daughter Gloria, originally from Ghana, so that they could harvest her organs. The couple denied these allegations and said that Gloria died from complications related to an eating disorder. The prosecution had demanded the death penalty. In more regional news, a construction worker has been rescued from a burning apartment building in Houston, Texas, moments before it started to collapse. The man, who has not yet been identified, was on the 4th-floor balcony of the apartment complex as the fire engulfed the building around him. He jumped to a 3rd-floor balcony as the flames closed in on him as firefighters extended a ladder to reach him. The worker was pulled onto the ladder in the nick of time as the front of the 4th floor fell off and plummeted to the ground. Sports is next with Larry, so stay tuned.
change is here at SAS. New and exciting rewards just for you. SAS customers simply pay your bill and get the new Loyalty Plus plan for free. That's 26 channels absolutely free for a limited period. Yes, you heard me, free. And if you do pay your bill, you'll have a chance to win big with SAT TV. Up to $15,000 in prizes are up for grabs. 7-inch tablets, BlackBerry smartphones, food vouchers, and much, much more. Get more from SAT TV, the people's choice. SAT terms and conditions apply.
Thank you for staying tuned. West Indies women swept aside host Bangladesh by 36 runs to win their second match in the ICC T20 World Cup at Sylhet Stadium on Wednesday, March 26, 2014. 18-year-old bowler Shakwana Quintin grabbed 3 wickets to inflict a top-order submission that severely restricted the hosts, who imploded for 79 on the hunt for 116 set by West Indies. Quintin returned with impressive figures of 3 wickets for 5 runs from 3 overs. She received support from Trimen Smart and Anisha Mohammed, who picked up 2 for 9 and 2 for 22 respectively. The player, who was voted man of the match, knocked the back stump of 2 frontline batsmen openers, Ayasa Rahman for 10 and Fargana Hogue for 2, to leave Bangladesh scrambling for momentum. In more cricket, having not played in a major competition since the Champions League tournament in India last October, Kieron Pollard is set to continue his recovery from a knee injury in the Regional 4-Day Championship against the combined campuses and colleges this weekend at the Queen's Park Oval. Pollard, who had been sidelined following a knee surgery last year, is one of 2 changes to the Trinidad and Tobago squad for the game against CCC. Experienced off-spinner Amit Jagannath also returns to the team to bolster an attack that lacked penetration against new leaders Barbados. TNT, winners of their first 2 matches against the Windward and Leeward Islands, crashed to a massive innings and 160-run defeat at Kensington Oval last Sunday, the Bajans declaring 479 for it. And in football, All Saints recorded their first victory of the season with a 4-1 win over Trafalgar Academy on Wednesday evening in the DFA's Intermediate League at the Bath Estate playing field. The league continues tonight with ACS Tarish United taking on Maosoka Strikers at 5:30 p.m. at the Bath Estate playing field.
Our thanks to Larry for that report. Now for today's history. It was on March 27, 1948, that Billie Holiday made her first appearance as a headliner to a sold-out audience. The appearance of the jazz singer and music legend took place just days after Holiday had been released from jail on a drug charge. We now join the Dominica Met Office for today's weather report.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's TV weather broadcast. I am your presenter, Fitzroy Pascal. We begin by taking a look at infrared satellite imagery, and earlier satellite imagery did show an increase in cloud cover across the island chain as mentioned earlier this week. Patches of low-level clouds moving with the wind flow did result in occasional cloudy skies across the island chain today. Meanwhile, despite the cloud cover, radar imagery only showed minimal shower activity across the islands, with Dominica recording only trace amounts of rainfall. Tonight's weather is expected to be partly cloudy to cloudy with a few scattered showers, temperatures 23 degrees Celsius on the coast to 20 in the interior, breezy conditions with winds out of the northeast near 40 kilometers per hour. Similar conditions expected tomorrow, occasional cloudy skies with scattered showers, temperatures peaking near 30 degrees Celsius, breezy conditions maintained with winds out of the northeast near 45 kilometers per hour. For the marine outlook, sea conditions moderate in open water with swells peaking near 8 feet. Small craft operators and sea weavers are advised to exercise caution. For the 3-day outlook, occasional cloudy skies with scattered showers throughout, temperatures 30 degrees Celsius with winds 45 kilometers per hour on Friday with a gradual decrease to 35 kilometers per hour by Sunday. For the rest of the Caribbean, the Atlantic high pressure system will continue to be the dominant feature, generating a brisk trade wind flow. Patches of low-level clouds moving with the wind flow will result in occasional cloudy skies and scattered showers across most of the island chain during the next 24 hours, with temperatures peaking near 30 degrees Celsius towards the southern islands and 29 degrees Celsius towards the islands to the north, with the exception of San Juan, Puerto Rico, peaking near 30 degrees Celsius. For the international city forecast, mostly cloudy skies with scattered showers in New York and Miami, partly cloudy skies in London and Caracas, and beautiful weather in Beijing, China. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:03 a.m. and sunset 6:18 p.m. Thank you for viewing, and feel free to contact us using the information provided, www.weather.gov.dm, or the weather hotline at 447-5555. Have a good night.
Our thanks to the Met Office for that report. Now for the thought of the day. Excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Aristotle. That's the thought of the day, and this takes us to the end of our newscast for the evening. When we return, a recap of the headlines.
The wheel of change is here at SAS. New and exciting rewards just for you. SAS customers, simply pay your bill and get the new Loyalty Plus plan for free. That's 26 channels absolutely free for a limited period. Yes, you heard me, free. And if you do pay your bill, you'll have a chance to win big with SAT TV. Up to $15,000 in prizes are up for grabs. 7-inch tablets, BlackBerry smartphones, food vouchers, and much, much more. Get more from SAT TV, the people's choice. SAT terms and conditions apply.
And now for a recap of the headlines. Government signs $2.54 million Salisbury water supply project. Elderly woman mauled to death by 3 pit bulls. Quarter jails US spear over daughter's organ harvesting death. And in sports, West Indies celebrates second consecutive victory. You have been watching SAT TV's news. We thank you for joining us, and we invite you to join us again tomorrow for another newscast. On behalf of SAT TV's news production team, I am Alicia George, wishing you a pleasant evening. Feel free to send your queries and comments to news@sat.dm. You can also join us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/SATtelecoms, or follow us on Twitter at www.twitter.com/SATtelecoms. Remember, SAT Telecoms is the people's choice, and SATnet, a better choice.
When it's that dry, you don't get much produce. Like now, it's very, very hot. You don't get the regular production we're really accustomed to. When it's like now, it's going down to December, it's get a little cooler. We'll do better production because the place kind of get a little cooler. But like now, it's very hot, production-wise, very low. In order for it to get very wet and very moist, you need a lot of rain, constant. But for example, like how it's so dry now, as soon as we get a little rain, before you know it, it's really dry. In order for us to concrete, we have to, we depend on government water. And the more water you use, the more money you spend. So we just try our best to keep it at an average until we get the kind of rain to keep we going. Because you see we have about 15 acres. And in order to do 15 acres, it may be like $8,000–9,000 a month water to government, sometime more.
Over the past 5-10 years, the patterns are not predictable. Not predictable at all. We expect a dry January. You're getting rainfall in excess of the norm, which is 5-6 inches, which sends the plant in what we call a vegetative mode, because the cotton plant, it's by nature, it's a desert type plant which has extended taproot. So it's very sensitive to moisture or change in moisture. Once you change that moisture within that environment, it triggers the plant in another stage. Instead of giving you bolls for the lint, it starts to produce vegetative growth. So that is impacting significantly on the cotton, on the Ceylon cotton crop. In the past, we prepare our lands in June, July, you plant in August, and by January you start to harvest. Because you would have the high ambient temperature, 90, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, where pods must be open under that temperature. It's not so. It's definitely having a negative impact on that particular crop, the Ceylon cotton.